So for years, every time someone would come and set up their camp and light their fire on top of that undetonated bomb, that campfire would just slowly burning the outside shell of that bomb until that night when it detonated and exploded. Welcome back to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you. You're a real one. If you are new to the channel, here we like to discuss strange and true crime stories. But before we do that, ladies, if you know that you're the prize in any relationship, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. But only if you know it. Only if you know it and you feel it deep down, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Now fellas, the boys, the bros, if you know that you're the prize in a relationship, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. But only if you're the prize in a relationship. If a lady's lucky to have you, hit that like and subscribe button. All right. Let's get into it. They say that pictures can say 1,000 words or speak 1,000. A picture is worth 1,000. A lot of pictures have mysterious meanings, and this picture is one of them. In 2017, a 27-year-old woman named Lidiia left her home in the Ukraine and went to Bracknell, England. Once in England, she got a job as an accountant for a hotel and started saving money. She would do this really just focusing on work and going to church every Sunday. 2 years later, after church, she was enjoying the coffee hour that they would have after every sermon when a 41-year-old man named Norman came up and complimented her on her shoes. Now this opened up a decent conversation for the two of them. During this conversation, they both found common talking points since Norman migrated to England in 2018, a year after her. Now, Norman was originally from Hungary, and now he moved to England and he worked as a radio technician and a photographer. Norman was on the same plan as Lidiia, which was working hard, saving money, and going to church. Amen. After their first time meeting the week that followed, they were pretty excited and were thinking about each other for that in-between time until the next sermon or the next service came up on Sunday. Once that Sunday hit, they were very excited to meet each other again and have, talk during that 1 hour break after the sermon. Well, they had coffee. Once the coffee was over, they both decided, hey, maybe we should meet outside of church, maybe to get some dinner, go on a date pretty much. So 2 years after them having that first coffee, Norman and Lidiia got married. It was a bittersweet moment because Lidia's family couldn't come from the Ukraine, so they decided to have their honeymoon in the Ukraine so that Lidia's family can just celebrate their wedding and their new found love that they have for each other. All right, look, baby, I'm not going to the Ukraine for the honeymoon. We're going to the Bahamas. Now, we can go on like a Thursday or something, but I'm not going to spend my honeymoon in the Ukraine. Doesn't really sound romantic, I'm trying to get nasty with you. You can't do that in the Ukraine. That doesn't even sound sexy. The honeymoon kept getting pushed further and further back just for different reasons, whether it be work or family issues. But then finally they were able to plan this trip, and Lidiia was particularly excited because she was very close with her brother Miroslav, and she wanted Norman and Miroslav to get along. She wanted them to what am I doing right now? Am I having a stroke? She wanted Miroslav and her husband Norman to get along. Miroslav took the initiative to plan a camping trip towards the end of their honeymoon phase because he knew that once Norman and Lidiia got there, that the family was pretty much going to take up most of their time with with family members coming in, like just saying hello, meets, greets, dinners, and things like that. He knew that they really weren't going to have much time to get to know each other, so he planned this trip so that they could have quality time. Smart man. So the camping trip finally came about, and Lidiia, Norman, Miroslav, and 9 other family members just packed up the cars and headed toward the Carpathian mountain range. Now, this mountain range was a very popular spot because it just had beautiful scenery, great animals, waterfalls, everything was beautiful. They didn't have mosquitoes, which is always a plus. So this was just going to be a very beautiful and a memorable trip. So on this 1,000 stretch of just beautiful mountain range, Miroslav picked just one of the best spots with an amazing view. Once there, they hiked up a little bit, then found their spot, and then everyone went to work with setting up tents, going to get firewood. Then they made a little bit of tea, started drinking a little bit, exchanging stories, and Miroslav finally got to sit down with Norman and exchange stories. After talking with Miroslav for some time, Norman and him, they're just getting along great. So Norman gets up and he decides to head back to his tent, it wasn't too far away, just to grab his camera so he can take some more pictures. So everyone, they agreed, and they watched him just kind of disappear into the darkness while he went to go get his camera. At this time, Lidiia remembers that she heard a faint whistling. Lidiia said that the whistling started off very faint, very small, and then it kept getting louder and louder and louder. And then all of a sudden, something just jumped up and slapped her right in the face, particularly her nose. Lidiia falls back and she remembers that she couldn't hear anything and she couldn't see anything, but she was still conscious, and she remembers thinking, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to die. So she started praying. So Lidia's just laying there praying, and then her hearing starts to come back a little bit, and she could hear moaning and groaning of the people around her. So now she's thinking maybe something happened to them too. So she starts praying for everyone, just praying for the entire campsite, for everyone. As her hearing fully comes back, she can slightly hear her husband calling her name. She can't fully hear him, but she knows that it's him. He lands behind her, and now he's holding her. And when she can finally say something, she mumbles out, "What happened?" And Norman says, "It's bad. It's really bad." It turns out that the campsite that they were on was an old World War I battle site, and their campfire was sitting directly on top of an undetonated bomb. So for years, every time someone would come and set up their camp and light their fire on top of that undetonated bomb, that campfire was just slowly burning the outside shell of that bomb until that night when it detonated and exploded. That whistling that Lidiia heard was the fire finally eating through the final layer of that outer shell, and that piece that hit her in the nose was most definitely a piece of shrapnel from the bomb. Lidiia was incredibly wounded, but she would make a full recovery. Unfortunately, her brother and another family member would not. And here is the last picture of the group before that bomb detonated, killing members of the family. That's really sad. You go out to have just a nice trip with your family. This is probably the last thing you would expect. Some people, I would expect Bigfoot to come out and punch me in the stomach before I would expect that an undetonated bomb will go off while I'm sitting here on my honeymoon. This is why you got to tell your family you love them while you still can. Give them their flowers now. Figure of speech. I had to call my mom. That's it for today's story. If you stuck around to the end, I really appreciate it. Again, ladies, if you know that you're a catch in the relationship, hit that like and subscribe. Fellas, but if you know that you're the catch, I want you to hit that like and subscribe. That's it, and I will see you on another video.